Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Bible in 1 year with the preacher's husband. Today we're talking about Job chapter 29, 30, and 31. And today I'm going to take a little different twist, a little different path on here. Okay, so in 29, this is Job's final claim of innocence to the three friends that he was talking with. Now, he starts out in verse 2, "If only I could be as in months gone by, in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone above my head, and I walked through the darkness by his light." In chapter 29, he's talking about the good things that happened to him. He also begins to talk about the good things that people did to him, how people treated him. How in verse 21 it said, "Men listened to me with expectation, waiting silently for my advice. After a word from me, they did not speak again. My speech settled on them like dew." See, they had a lot of respect for Job. They looked up to Job, and he was one that they would go to for wisdom and knowledge and for advice and for guidance of all kinds. And then we get to chapter 30, and he says, "But now they mock me. Men younger than I am, whose fathers I would have refused to put with my sheepdogs. They mock me." And then in verse 9 and 10 he says, "Now I am mocked by their songs. I have become an object of scorn to them. They despise me and keep their distance from me. They do not hesitate to spit in my face." So the Job that everyone respected at one point, now they're spitting in his face. They're mocking him by making up songs about him that degrade him, like a schoolhouse bully would do, like a child. They're being children and teaching him, treating him like they are his bully. They're bullying him, essentially, is what he's saying. And then we get into chapter 31, and we're faced with a lot of if and then statements. Job says, if this happens, then this would happen. If I'd done this, then this would have happened or wouldn't have happened. And chapter 31, verse 21, Job denied that he had ever used his official position to take advantage of the weak, such as the fatherless, even though he had the backing of others. So he's in a rough spot. He's still battling back and forth, trying to figure out what's going on. But I read through this, and I think of how much moral strength that it must have taken him to be able to get through this, to get through all of the mocking, all of the spitting in his face, the people making fun of him after he had been a leader to the people. And I think about that. I think about the United States, and I think about a leader. I think about moral strength, a leader with moral strength. And that leader that comes to mind is Woodrow Wilson. Now, when Germany started submarine warfare in around 1917, they made an attempt to enlist Mexico as an ally into World War I. And Woodrow Wilson, who was the 28th president of the United States, he led America into World War I against the Central Powers, as it were then. And in his declaration of war speech, he stated that unless America threw its weight into the war, Western civilization itself could be destroyed. Now, I have here an excerpt from a speech that was given in 1911, before all this happened, and this is Woodrow Wilson's view of the Word of God in society. And he says here, he was gathered for a group they were gathered together for the purpose of Sunday school. And this is what Woodrow Wilson stated in his speech. "There are great problems before the American people. There are problems with which need purity of spirit and an integrity of purpose such as has never been called for before in the history of this country. I should be afraid to go forward if I did not believe that there lay at the foundation of all our schooling and of all our thought this incomparable and unimpeachable Word of God. If we cannot derive our strength thence, There is no source from which we can derive it. And so I would bid you go from this place, if I may, inspired one more with the feeling that the providence of God is the foundation of affairs, and that only those can guide and only those can follow who take this providence of God from the sources where it is authentically interpreted. He goes on to say, the happiness of seeing a great company of people like this gathered together in the interest of the Sunday school is the happiness of knowing that there are they who seek light and who know that the lamp from which our spirits can be kindled is the lamp that glows in the Word of God. Now, we've heard that several times in Job, that lamp that Job speaks of multiple times. Every Sunday school should be a place where this great book is not only opened, is not only studied, is not only revered, but is drunk of as if it were the foundation of life, is used as if it were the only source of inspiration and guidance. No great nation can ever survive its own temptations and its own follies that does not indoctrinate its children with the Word of God, so that as schoolmaster and as governor, I know that my feet must rest with the feet of my fellow men upon this foundation, and upon this foundation only, for the righteousness of nations, like the righteousness of men, must take its source from these foundations of inspiration. In Job chapter 29, verse 14, it says, the deep says, chapter 29, verse 14, it says, I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. Blessings. I hope this has touched you. Tomorrow, we'll be reading Job chapters 32 through 34. I hope you tune in again for another exciting adventure in the Bible in 1 year. If this has touched you, click like, click subscribe, hit the little jingle bell so you can get notified the next time I upload a video. And I will see you tomorrow.